Good day, learners. In this video, we're going to talk about multiplying polynomials. This is part 3 of our 3-part series on multiplying polynomials. Part 1 was multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. Part 2 was on multiplying binomials using the FOIL method. So if you haven't seen those videos, I will put the link in the description below. For this lesson, part 3, we will talk about multiplying binomial by a multinomial. There are certain skills that you need to master in order to be successful at multiplying polynomials. You should be able to add and subtract monomials, and you should be able to multiply monomials. Now, if you're not yet sure on how to do these things, don't worry, I've already made a separate video for each of these topics, and you can find the link for these videos in the description below. Let's have example number 1, x plus 2 times x squared minus 3x plus 4. So notice that this time we have here a binomial. This is a binomial, and we will multiply it to this trinomial. So to do that, we will multiply first x to this trinomial. So let's do that. X times the trinomial x squared minus 3x plus 4. And the next thing we'll do is we will multiply positive 2 to the trinomial. So positive 2, we will multiply it to x squared minus 3x plus 4. Now at this point, we will have to use the distributive property. Remember that the distributive property tells us that when we see something like a times b plus c, what we will do is we will distribute a to each of the terms inside the parentheses. So that's a times b. Let's write here a times b, and then we have a plus, so let's write here plus. Sometimes it's gonna be a minus. The next would be a times c. Let's write here a times c. So we will use this concept to continue with our solution. So what we will do now is we will distribute x to each of the terms inside this parenthesis. So x times x squared, it's gonna be x cubed. And then x times negative 3x is negative 3x squared. And then x times positive 4, that's positive 4x. Okay, so this time we will distribute positive 2 to each of the terms inside this parenthesis. So positive 2 times x squared, so that's positive 2x squared. And then positive 2 times negative 3x, that's negative 6x. And then positive 2 times 4, that's positive 8. Now at this point, we will simplify by combining similar terms. So we will combine negative 3x squared and 2x squared because they are similar terms. And you will know that they are similar because they have the same variable, x squared. So you copy first x cubed, and then negative 3x squared plus 2x squared, that's negative x squared. And then we will also combine 4x and negative 6x. We can combine them because they are similar terms, and we know that they are similar terms because they have the same variable x. So we have here 4x minus 6x. Remember that subtracting a monomial is just the same as adding its opposite. So we can think of this as 4x minus 6x. We can think of this as 4x plus the opposite of 6x will be negative 6x. And 4x plus negative 6x, it's negative 2x. So let's write here negative 2x. And then we just copy plus 8. So each of the terms have different variables, so we cannot add or subtract this any further. So this will be our final answer. It's x cubed minus x squared minus 2x plus 8. Example number 2. 2x minus 1 times x squared minus 3x plus 4. So this time we have this binomial will be multiplied to this trinomial. So to do that, we will multiply first 2x to this trinomial. So it's gonna be 2x times the trinomial x squared minus 3x plus 4. And then next we will multiply negative 1 to the trinomial. So negative 1 times x squared minus 3x plus 4. Now at this point we will use the distributive property. We will distribute first 2x to each of the terms inside these parentheses. So 2x times x squared, that's 2x cubed. And then 2x times negative 3x, that's negative 6x squared. Then 2x times 4, that's positive 8x. Next, we will distribute negative 1 to each of the terms inside these parentheses. So negative 1 times x squared, that's negative x squared. And then negative 1 times negative 3x, that's positive 3x. And then negative 1 times positive 4, it's negative 4. So at this point we will simplify by combining similar terms. And similar terms are negative 6x squared and x squared. So we combine them first. Let's copy first 2x cubed. Now we have here negative 6x squared minus x squared. So remember, adding a monomial, subtracting a monomial is just the same as adding its opposite. So negative 6x squared minus x squared can be thought of as negative 6x squared plus the opposite of x squared will be negative x squared. And negative 6x squared plus negative x squared, that's gonna be a negative 7x squared. Next, we will combine 8x and 3x. 8x plus 3x, it's gonna be positive 11x. And then we will just copy minus 4. So this will be our answer. 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 11x minus 4. Example 3. 3x plus 1 times x squared minus 2x plus 5. So we will multiply first 3x to this trinomial. So let's write here 3x times the trinomial x squared minus 2x plus 5. Next is we will multiply positive 1 to the trinomial. So that's positive 1 times x squared minus 2x plus 5. So we will now apply the distributive property. We will distribute 3x to each of the terms inside this parenthesis. So 3x times x squared, that's 3x cubed. And then 3x times negative 2x, that's negative 6x squared. And then 3x times positive 5, that's positive 15x. And then now we will distribute positive 1 to each of the terms inside this parenthesis. So 1 times x squared, that's positive x squared. And then 1 times negative 2x is negative 2x. And then 1 times 5, it's positive 5. Now let's simplify by combining similar terms. Negative 6x squared will be combined to x squared. So copy first 3x cubed. So negative 6x squared plus x squared, it's gonna be negative 5x squared. And then we will also combine 15x and negative 2x. So 15x minus 2x, you can think of this as 15x plus the opposite of 2x, it's going to be negative 2x. So if you can solve this mentally, that would be cool. So 15x times negative 2x, it's going to be positive 13x. And then just copy plus 5. So since each of the terms have a different variable, we cannot simplify this any further. So this will be our final answer. Example number 4, and this is gonna be the last example for this lesson. Negative 2x plus 3 times x squared plus 4x minus 7. So the first thing we're gonna do is we will multiply negative 2x to this trinomial. So let's write here negative 2x times x squared plus 4x minus 7, and then positive 3 will be multiplied to the trinomial. So positive 3 times x squared plus 4x minus 7. So now applying the distributive property, we will distribute negative 2x to each of the terms inside this parenthesis. So negative 2x times x squared is negative 2x cubed. Negative 2x times 4x is negative 8x squared. And then negative 2x times negative 7, that's positive 14x. So now we will distribute positive 3 to each of the terms here. Positive 3 times x squared will be positive 3x squared. Positive 3 times 4x, it's going to be positive 12x. And then positive 3 times negative 7, it's going to be negative 21. So now we will simplify by combining similar terms. Combine negative 8x squared to 3x squared. So you copy first negative 2x cubed, and then negative 8x squared plus 3x squared, it's going to be negative 5x squared. And then also combine 14x and 12x. So 14x plus 12x, it's going to be positive 26x. And then just copy minus 21. This will be our final answer. Okay, so that's it for our examples. Now for your activity, we have here 5 items for you to work on. So you can play again the video from the beginning so that you will have a good idea on how to answer this. If you find this video helpful, do me a favor, kindly click subscribe and also like and share the video so that we will be able to reach as many learners as possible. Also, do not forget to click the notification bell so that you will be updated whenever we will add a new lesson to our channel. Thank you for watching and see you all soon on our next video.